Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Introducing the Emotion Code, a quick and simple method to address underlying health and life imbalances. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really thrilled to get to explore one of the most exciting new methodologies that I've heard about in the recent years with the originator. His name is Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's a veteran holistic physician. He's the author of the Emotion Code and creator of the Body Code. And I think you're going to find that this is a really grounded, powerful methodology that has a lot of practical benefits, and we're going to be in for a treat to hear about it from the originator. So, Bradley, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Stephen. It's really great to be here.
Great. Well, I want to let everybody know up front, we're going to do a deep dive and get the essence of this method. But for the folks who want to go deeper and really apply this in your lives, we're going to have a groundbreaking new course. It's called Activate Health, Abundance, and Love with the Emotion Code. So we'll share a little bit about that towards the end of the hour. So Bradley, let's start with a little bit of your history and what brought you to creating the Emotion Code and recognizing this way to sort of deal with the underpinning issues behind the symptoms that people often present.
Right. Well, I've had some interesting things happen to me in my life. I was healed miraculously from the measles as my father prayed for me when I was 7 years old. I've never forgotten that. It's been burned into my every particle of my being, really. To go from being really sick one moment to being totally healthy in the next instant is really bizarre. And so that was a powerful thing. Then I ended up with kidney disease when I was 13 years old. That was really a very dangerous situation. My kidneys were fighting for their lives, and there were no kidney transplants back then. So if my kidneys died, I was gone, and very scary, a lot of pain. And there was nothing that could be done for me medically. And my parents took me to see some alternative doctors, and my body started responding immediately. And even though I was only 13, I knew that what they were doing was exactly what my body needed. And within a few weeks, I was completely well. And my parents took me back to the hospital and ran the tests again. And I was cured. And I knew that what they had done had helped me. So I decided at that point in my life, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor. And so, but not just any kind of doctor. I wanted to be a natural doctor, a holistic doctor. Well, then I got involved in computers and became a computer programmer. I started going that direction with my life. And I loved computers. But it was really an answer to prayer that brought me back to my original dream of being a doctor, a natural doctor, and a holistic doctor. And so that was the path that I started on. I went to chiropractic school and graduated in 1988. But I can remember sitting in class, and sometimes my instructors would say things that would pique my interest. I remember my neurology instructor talking once about how the brain is this amazing computer. And as a computer programmer, I programmed my way through school. In fact, I wrote the software that our college's admissions office used. And I can remember sitting there thinking, wow, if the brain's really a computer, will we ever have the technology to be able to access the information that must be in there to help our patients? And sure enough, later on, that's actually what I was able to learn how to do and to create. In fact, the Emotion Code, the Body Code, all the work that I have been teaching for all these years is really about that fundamental premise that within us, we have this computer that we refer to as the subconscious mind. And it's really the vast bulk of our intelligence. And we can access that now. So that's what the Emotion Code is all about. That's what the Body Code is all about. It's about tapping into this internal computer system that each one of us has. And it has all the answers. It knows with a perfect understanding what's wrong with each one of us and what we need to do to get totally healthy and be totally well. And it knows about our emotional baggage. And emotional baggage, or those emotional energies that become trapped in our bodies during those events that we would rather not have gone through, those emotional energies are a huge missing link. They are responsible for 90% of the physical pain that we experience. as amazing as that sounds, they're also an underlying cause of every disease process that we've seen now in 34 years of doing this work. They are the underlying cause of things like depression and anxiety and phobias and panic attacks and PTSD and eating disorders. And so this method is just a very, very simple, easy, fast way that anyone can learn to find this emotional baggage in themselves and their family members and their loved ones, and see amazing shifts that happen. So I'm excited to be here and be connected with you guys again.
Yeah, we made some pretty interesting and bold statements in there about like the level to which these emotions in our subconscious are causing downstream issues. So maybe share first a little bit about the mechanism. That how is it that getting an emotion stuck in your subconscious and unprocessed emotion might, manifest in downstream issues that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can think of every emotion that we experience as being like an open loop, okay, or a loop. In other words, let's say something happens to you and you start feeling a certain emotion. Well, those emotions come from the deep subconscious. And when you start to feel that emotion, you start to feel the thoughts that go along with that particular emotion. You start to feel maybe the physical sensations that go along with that. And normally what happens is as that loop begins and we start feeling those things, we acknowledge that emotion and we allow it to dissipate and move on. And so the loop on that particular emotion closes and that little experience is over. And we do this multiple times every day. Lots of little loops open and close, and we experience emotions and then we move on from them. But sometimes what happens to us is the emotion is so powerful that that loop becomes, well, unable to be completed really. And so the loop remains open. And so the energy of that emotion, and remember that everything is energy, thoughts are energy, our bodies are energy, our spirits are energy, emotions are energy as well. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And emotions are those. And so what we can do is we can identify these energies that are trapped in the body, because when an emotional experience doesn't complete and that loop is stuck open, that emotional energy is suspended in the body. And we refer to these as trapped emotions. And a trapped emotion is a ball of energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a softball. And they're very disruptive to the normal energy field of the body. Now, your body itself is nothing but energy. It's just a very complex energy field consisting of all these subatomic particles, energies that are all flying in formation, giving you this experience that you're having in this world. So when you have an emotional energy that becomes trapped in the body, what happens is it exerts a distorting force on the energy field of the body in that area. These can lodge anywhere in the body, and they typically will eventually cause some kind of physical discomfort. They often also will cause emotional discomfort. Think about it. If there's a certain event that happened to you in your life, for example, that you can't seem to let go of, or that if you think about will bring tears to your eyes, that's emotional baggage. And what we find is that when we identify and remove this emotional baggage, things shift dramatically. People get better from all kinds of things improve, physical problems, mental issues, emotional issues. And the beauty of it is that you can learn how to do it yourself, and you don't have to pay anybody to do it for you if you don't want to, although we've certified over 10,000 people now in this method in around 80 countries in the world. So you can have someone else work with you if you want to, or you can learn it yourself. It's fast, easy. Most of the time when people learn how to do this, they can release a trapped emotion in about a minute or less. So it's very, very fast.
That's truly amazing, a minute or less. And so maybe if you can share a little bit more about how the symptoms can be traced back to where might be the emotional origin, because I imagine a lot of times you may not know exactly what it is, what ball of emotional energy is stuck there, that it's sort of written deep in the hard drive, if you will.
Right, exactly. Well, we have to have a way to communicate with the subconscious mind to be able to find emotional baggage, because otherwise there are trapped emotional energies in our bodies that we would never be able to find. To give you an example of how this works, number of years ago, I was doing an event, just a workshop for an hour or so. And at the beginning of this event, I was greeting people as they were coming in, and I happened to meet this young woman and her mother that came. So later on during this event, I asked for a volunteer, and this young woman came up out of the audience. She's about 21 years old. And I had her hold her arm out parallel to the floor. And I asked if she had a trapped emotion that needed to be released. And the muscle test on her came back strong. Now, in this course, we're going to teach everyone how to actually do this. It's really simple. But that's one of the ways we can get answers from the subconscious mind. And so it turned out as I asked more questions, and of course, we have a chart of emotions that we use. There are 60 emotions in the chart, consists of 2 columns and 6 rows. And so when I was working with her, I was asking questions. Well, where is this emotion? Is it in column A or column B? And I got a strong answer for one of those. Is it in an odd row or an even row? I got a strong answer to one of those. And eventually I was able to narrow it down to a single cell. And this is all within less than a minute. And was able to identify that the emotion was forlorn. Now, forlorn is feeling all alone, hopeless, sad, desolate, and all kind of rolled into one. And so then I needed to know more about this. That's what her subconscious mind responded with to that question, that I needed to know more. So I figured out that this had occurred through muscle testing. This had happened when she was 1 year old, in the first year of her life. And I thought, okay, she's not going to know anything about this. And I asked her, I said, do you have any idea what this is about? She had no idea. But I remembered that she had come with her mother to this event. So I happened to look out of the audience. There's her mother, and she's as white as a sheet. And she's got her hands up like this. And I said, hey, do you have any idea what this is about? And she was really embarrassed, but she said that she thought maybe she did. She said that back when her daughter was that age, she used to use cloth diapers. And one day she accidentally pinned her daughter to her diaper and didn't know about it until she changed her the next time. And so here's this poor baby that's got this safety pin through her flesh. I'm sure she was crying and nobody was helping her. Her mom must have been really overwhelmed. And so she develops this emotion, this feeling of forlorn. No one's helping me. I'm all alone. And that emotional energy was powerful enough, it became trapped in her body. So sure enough, that was it. Released it. And to release one of these, you just swipe a few times with a magnet or your hand on the governing meridian, which just travels up the back and over the top of the head. So a few swipes, that was gone, release that energy. So she goes back and sits down. And I finished my lecture and went home. About 10 days later, I get an email from this girl's mother. And she said, my daughter, didn't tell you this, but she said she's had a problem with her hip and her knee for about 8 or 10 years now. And it's been gradually getting worse to the point where it's kind of starting to affect the way she walks. And we've taken it to lots of people. Nobody's been able to figure out what this is. But she said, from the moment you release that trapped emotion, that pain's been gone. She said, it's completely gone. It hasn't come back. She said, I waited 10 days to see if this was a fluke or if this was real. She also said, my daughter's feeling this new sense of lightness of being that she's never felt before. She's telling everybody about this. Now, this is a great example of how tapping into the subconscious mind can give us this information that otherwise we would not be able to access in any way. And it also helps you to see how trapped emotions can cause physical discomfort that can be of unknown origin and mysterious. There's lots of people that have pain out there that seems to be for no reason, but I'm telling you right now, 9 out of 10 times, it's from some emotional experience that your body is just trying to help you uncover.
That's an amazing story and really brings alive the power of the method. So it seems like part of what you're getting at is that there's a lot of these sort of micro traumas, the things that you may not actively remember that it's sort of, but do lodge. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big thing. It sounds like that's getting stuck there. It's really just that it didn't get metabolized originally. That's accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you think about the conscious mind is a tiny fraction, really, of our total intelligence. The subconscious mind is so intelligent that it remembers everything we've ever done, every face we've ever seen in a crowd, everything we've ever eaten or tasted or touched or smelled. It's all in there in the subconscious. And the subconscious mind is that part of us that is able to take breakfast and turn it into new red blood cells and so on. I mean, it's a level of intelligence that is really beyond our ability to comprehend. We know what it does, but our lives really are an ongoing miracle, I believe, from one moment to another. And we really haven't even begun to scratch the surface about what we really are and what we're really capable of. So the emotion code is just a simple way to find this emotional baggage. Sometimes that emotional baggage is from things that we remember. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes that emotional baggage is picked up at the moment of conception. Sometimes we inherit emotional energies from mom or dad that they might have inherited when they were conceived from their mom or dad. And these can go back sometimes for generations. There's a book written recently about the grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, documenting the differences in these people and how they were more susceptible to disease and how their DNA seemed to be different and that their markers for aging were higher than other people's because of what their grandparents experienced. We now know that somehow, in some way, animals will share traumatic experiences that they have. They will pass those memories down somehow to their offspring. And they're finding that even in lower animals, this happens up to 14 generations down the line. So that's another thing. It's another aspect of the emotion code. At some point, we all have ancestors. And at some point, some of those ancestors of yours might have gone through something difficult. Maybe your great-great-great-grandmother was jilted at the altar and developed a trapped emotion of grief. And that maybe has been passed down the line. And maybe that's why you're having difficulty now finding love in your life. Maybe your 8th great-grandfather was thrown into the poorhouse and developed some emotional baggage about that. And maybe now that's why you're having difficulty creating the kind of income that you'd like. I mean, this is how our lives are working. It's an amazing thing. See, we're the product not only of our own emotional baggage that we've picked up in our own lives, but also the emotional baggage of our ancestors. Mm-hmm. And the fascinating aspects of the emotion code that we'll explore more and that I'll be teaching people how to do and how to take care of and find in this course.
Well, it's truly fascinating when you get into the ancestral layers of this as well, that it's like there's a conservation of these unresolved emotional issues that requires someone to work them out. One thing that was interesting when you started to describe how to release, that you were sort of had a passing through a meridian, and that it didn't sound like you really need to kind of go fully back into it or relive the emotion in order for it to release, and which is a little bit counter to some things I've heard in terms of the clearing of old traumas or patterns. And so maybe share a little bit about that, how how things can release without needing to kind of like fully experience them again.
Well, that's one of the really beautiful aspects of this work. There are lots of other methods out there that rely solely on the conscious mind. In other words, if you don't remember some traumatic thing that happened to you when you were 5 years old or something, then those methodologies are not going to be able to find that and uncover that because they're relying on the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is so limited. I mean, think about it. You've probably lost your car in a parking lot before, right? I have done that. A car is an awfully big thing to lose. Our conscious minds are kind of like a computer with a very limited amount of memory. And so there's a lot that happens that we just simply do not remember. The subconscious mind remembers everything, though. And there are methods also, like you say, that require a person to go back in and re-experience that. And, that can be really difficult, especially if it was a rape or some really severe trauma, to go back and re-experience that again. We find is just absolutely not necessary, because really what we're looking for is we're looking for those energies that are trapped in the body. And when you identify one of those energies, one of those trapped emotions, and you've figured out whatever the subconscious mind wants you to know about it, the question that we always ask in the emotion code as we're working on finding a trapped emotion is, do we need to know more about this trapped emotion? Now, we might ask that question 2 or 3 times as we're trying to get an emotion ready to be released. But once we've answered those questions and we get a no answer to that question from the subconscious mind, and then we're ready to release the trapped emotion. A lot of the time you can release a trapped emotion just by identifying it on the chart. And then if you ask, do we need to know more about this emotion? The subconscious mind might come back with a no, then you just release it and you're done and you're on to the next one. So it's very fast. Sometimes the subconscious mind will say, yeah, we need to know more about this. And so if you do, typically all you'll need to know is when it happened. And so you'll figure out, well, okay, if you're 40 years old, say, we'll ask if this happened earlier than age 20. Oh, it did. Okay, did it happen earlier than age 10? Yes. It happened earlier than 5? No. So it happened around age 6, around age 7. Okay, maybe it happened around age 7. And a lot of the time, that's all you need to know. So there are some times when you need to dig a little deeper, but you just never know what's going to happen. Trapped emotions can occur at any point in your life. Sometimes they'll happen during the time that you're in the womb. We find that usually those are in the 3rd trimester. Very, very, very rarely in the 1st or the 2nd, usually 3rd. We don't know why that is, but a lot of the time those trapped emotions are from what the mother is experiencing. She's going through some intense emotion, and that's a vibration that the baby is also feeling, and so that energy can become trapped in the baby. So it's really it's an amazing thing. I've seen people have lifelong difficulty that they picked up actually in the womb, or when they were a child. You know, if you think about your own life and you think about the difficulties that you've been through, you know, were you bullied as a child? Did your parents argue? Did your parents get divorced? Have you been divorced? Divorce always leaves people with emotional problems, but you know, life itself, just the difficulties that we go through from day to day, leave us with emotional baggage. And that emotional baggage is disrupting the normal function of the organs and the glands in our bodies. It's interfering with the flow of the meridian energy and the meridians. It's interfering with your ability to create the life that you want. And so that's what's really nice, to be able to get rid of these trapped emotions. And what people often say that when they get rid of enough of these, it's almost like stepping out of the old suit you've been wearing into this new state of being. That's who you're really supposed to be.
Well, fascinating. So it sounds like a lot to unlock the power of this method, the diagnostic element, being able to kind of like sleuth your way back into the origins or where something might be in your body is really important. I know we're going to go into a one-on-one demonstration here, but maybe first talk a little bit about, you know, the muscle testing. There's something they call the sway test as well, and maybe share a little bit more about how we can become the good investigators of where these emotions lie.
Sure. Well, the very first method that we teach is called the sway test. We have to have a way to get answers from the subconscious mind. So if you'd like, I can walk people through this.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Well, first of all, you need to think about plants. If you put a plant in a pot near a window, if you keep watering it and you don't rotate the pot, eventually you'll notice the plant's leaning because it's looking for the light coming in from the window. And they've done studies with plants, and they found that plants will also grow away from really harsh grating sounds and noises and things like that. And so plants will respond to positive input or negative input. Well, the human body is the same, and it will respond in the same way. So here's how this works. If you can stand, then stand. If you can't, if you're driving, don't do this. Do it when you get home. But if you can stand, that works best for this. You can also do this sitting right on the edge of your chair if you want to. Standing works best, but here's what to do, okay? Stand up, drop your hands down by your sides, take a deep breath, let it out, and just totally relax. Now, as you're standing there, totally relaxed, you'll notice, first of all, that it's not really possible to stand perfectly still. There's always a little bit of oscillation going on, and that's just your postural muscles working to keep you from falling over, okay? And that's normal. But what I'd like you to do for a moment is I'd like you to think about, we'll start with something negative. I'd like you to think for a moment about war, okay? You know, we hear that word every day. We've heard it all of our lives. There are various wars going on all the time in the world and have been since all of us were born. But I'd like you to think about war for a moment, and I'd like you to think about what really goes on a human level in war. Think about that. And as you're standing there, just very relaxed, I don't want you to force anything, but as you think about war, and as you think about what people are doing to other people in war, what's happening to villages and what's happening to cities, and on a human level, what's really going on in war? What are people doing to other people? And think about all the families that have been broken and ruined, all the relationships. Think about all the tears that have been shed from all the wars that have been fought since day one on this silly planet. And as you think about that, as the subconscious mind within you starts to connect with what you're consciously holding in your mind, at that moment, you will start to sway backward. And that's your subconscious mind trying to move you away from the sheer negativity of that thought of war, the worst thing that goes on, I think, in this world. Now let's shift gears for a minute. I'd like you to think about something else. So once again, relax, hands down by your sides, and take a breath, let it out. And I'd like you to imagine something with me. With your eyes closed, just imagine that we're living 1,000 years in the future. And imagine that, that you're surrounded now with unconditional, pure love. But imagine that you've grown and you've progressed. And you're not the same person that you were 1,000 years ago. You are now a being of unconditional love. And imagine that the love that fills your heart for every being, for all of creation, for all of the universe is so big that your heart can't even contain that love. And that love expands out from your heart and it fills the whole world, every crack and every crevice. And imagine that it goes out beyond you and it fills the solar system and fills the galaxy and fills the whole universe. Imagine what it would be like to be that kind of a being, to be that ascended, to have that kind of unconditional love that's so big you can't even contain it. Now, when your subconscious mind connects with what you're consciously thinking about, you'll find that you're leaning forward, and that's your subconscious mind trying to move you towards that potentiality, that potential future, because I believe that is a potential future for every single one of us. I believe we're all immortal beings, and if we make good choices, we eventually can become that sort of being, being of unconditional love. So anyway, this is the sway test, or at least this shows you how the body will give responses if you're holding thoughts of positivity or truth or congruency versus holding thoughts of negativity or incongruency or falsehood. So what happens is you can use this method actually to get answers about your own emotional baggage. So ask this question, pose this question to your own mind. Do I have trapped emotions that need to be released? Do I have trapped emotions that need to be released? Hold that thought. It might take anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds to get an answer. It might even take a little bit longer if you're brand new to this, but just hold that thought in your mind. Do I have trapped emotions that need to be released? And chances are, if you hold that thought, your body is probably going to start going forward. Everybody has emotional baggage. And if you don't sway forward on that one, you might ask this question, do I have a heart wall? Do I have a heart wall? What is a heart wall? Well, when you feel like your heart is going to break at some point, your subconscious mind will put up a wall around your heart, and that wall is made of layers of your emotional baggage. And getting rid of that can be the most life-changing thing you can ever do for yourself. So the sway test is a way, it's just one method that we teach. It's a way to tap into the subconscious mind and get those yes and no answers. Because the subconscious, you see, is really a binary computer as far as getting answers goes. In other words, the subconscious will give you a yes answer by swaying forward or backward, forward for yes, backward for no. But we'll teach you some other methods of muscle testing as well in this course. where you'll be able to ask questions and get answers from your own subconscious mind. And we'll show you how to tune into other people and even animals and get yes and no answers from them as well. And so, the emotion code is based on this very simple method of asking questions that are very simple and very easy and short, and getting yes or no answers from the subconscious mind. But you can very quickly figure out exactly what you're looking for by just asking questions like that.
So it sounded like from before that when you were talking about the diaper that had been pinned to the baby, that sort of like you first kind of look at more of like what is, where the emotion might be in the body, and then the age, and you're trying to sort of trace it back. How precise do you have to be to kind of find the kind of root emotion that needs to be released? How much questioning do you need to do to get to sort of like, oh, this is it, like that experience?
Yeah, I would say probably about 80% of the time, all you need to do is identify the emotion in the chart. But sometimes the subconscious mind will want you to know more information to get closure, to be able to close that loop. The subconscious mind sometimes will need more info. So the first thing we'll figure out is the age. The second thing, if we do need to find and dig even deeper, will often be that the emotion was absorbed from somebody else that was feeling that energy. Someone else was feeling really upset and you happened to be there, and that energy then became trapped in your body. So, but I'd say 80% of the time, you just find the emotion and you can release it.
So let's talk about the release process. You had a very specific way to do that, working with the meridians that you mentioned. Can you give us a little bit of a high level explanation of how that works?
Well, right, exactly. So the meridians are basically little rivers of energy that flow throughout the body. The one that we use is called the governing meridian. It starts at the tailbone and goes straight up the back, over the top of the head to the inside of the upper lip. What we have found is that if you're using your hand or any kind of a magnet of any strength or any polarity, you can use any length of that meridian. And if you just swipe a few times on that meridian, at a point when that emotion has been identified and is ready to be released, and the answer to the question, do we need to know more about this, is no, just a few swipes of the magnet will release that trapped emotional energy. Kind of like if you take a credit card, out of your wallet, like, here's a credit card. If I take a credit card out of my wallet and I rub this with a magnetic, with something magnetic, if I put a magnet on that magnetic strip a few times, it's going to erase that data, and I'm going to need to get a new card. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, I wonder if we could do more of a demonstration of like the full circuit from diagnostic to release, so people really sort of anchor that in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and do that. So here's how we do this. First of all, the emotion code takes advantage of some very profound principles in quantum physics, such as entanglement and action at a distance and so on. So in other words, I can work on you, and we'll show you how to do this in the course. You'll know when the course is over how to work on other people at a distance, how to work on an animal at a distance, and so on. You always want to get permission, but we'll explain all of that. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to take just a moment, because this work has really come down from up above. I like to take a moment and just ask for some help from that higher power, source energy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, great. All right. Now, I'm going to be using a different method of testing that we call the ring-in-ring test. Looks like this. And we'll be showing you how to do this in the course, I think, as well. The way that this works is my body is going to be normally strong when I ask for a yes answer, and you'll see the rings will stay together. In the event that the answer is no, you'll see that my body will weaken slightly and the rings will break open, okay? And so yes looks like this, no looks like this. Now, the next thing I wanna know is if my energies are totally entangled with your energies, Stephen, so can I act as proxy for you? And the answer there is yes. Okay, so our energies are totally entangled. I can ask questions and get answers. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. So let's ask about this then. So you've talked about this right hip trouble that you've been having. Let's ask, is there a trapped emotion that we can release that is contributing to that problem in the right hip? And the answer is yes. Okay. So now we look at our emotion code chart and let's find out what emotion it is. Now watch how fast this is, okay? I have no idea what this emotion is. And Stephen has no idea consciously what this emotion is either, but his subconscious mind knows perfectly well what it is. And our subconscious minds are now fully connected. And so I can ask questions. Those answers will manifest instantly on my body because we're connected energetically. Quantum physicists, they understand this, okay? So here we go. Is this emotion listed in the chart in column A? No, that's weak. So we've eliminated column A. We have 30 emotions left out of 60. So the emotion is in column B. Well, let's divide it in half and let's ask, is this emotion in one of the odd rows in column B? And that's a yes answer. So is it in row 1 in column B? Yes, okay. So we've now eliminated 55 emotions. We know it's in one of these right here, column B, row 1. So is the emotion effort unreceived? No. Is the emotion heartache? No. Is it insecurity? No. Is it overjoy? No. Is it vulnerability? No, it's not. So here's what happens, okay? What we have found is that when the subconscious mind takes you to a column in a row, and if you cannot identify one of those emotions in that row and column, it means that this is an inherited trapped emotion. So congratulations, Stephen. That's what we're finding with you right out of the gate.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So at this point, we'll ask, is this an inherited trapped emotion? And the answer is yes. So is it inherited effort unreceived or inherited heartache? It's an inherited emotion of heartache, okay? Now, you had to get this from either mom or dad at conception. Did you get it from your mom at conception? No, this came from your father at conception. And these answers are coming from your subconscious mind, okay, to mine. Did your father get this from somebody earlier? Yes. Did he get it from his father? Yes. So does this go back even further in your genealogical line? It does. Does it go back for 10 generations from you? Yes. 20 generations? No. 15 generations? No. 14, 13, 12, 11? It goes back 11 generations. So 11 generations back from you. Was it a male that started with? No, it was actually a female. So it was a grandmother of yours, 11 generations back, that experienced an intense emotion of heartache. And when she conceived a child, her subconscious mind essentially made the decision, you know, we went through that. We really should pass this on somehow so that we can protect our descendants from having to go through this thing that I went through, right? It's kind of how this works. So, so Stephen, do you have kids?
Yep, 2 girls.
2 girls, okay. Did you pass this to either one of your girls? Yes. Did they both get this? They did. So this is kind of going down your line like a freight train, okay? 11 generations. My feeling about these is that the longer they go down the line, the older they are, the more powerful they must have been in the beginning. And sometimes we'll see these that go back 20 generations, sometimes even more. So is there anything else we need to know about this? Not really. So what we'll do now is I'll just use my hand, and to release this, I'm going to go ahead and just start here. And I'm going to pass my hand over my governing meridian. I'm going to do this 10 times.
I take it I don't need to do this. You're just doing this for me as a linked energy field now.
Yeah, exactly right. We're connected. And so you don't have to do anything. You could be asleep or whatever. It's really amazing. I mean, you could be in an airliner traveling at 500 miles an hour, 35,000 feet in the air on the other side of the planet. It still works. I mean, it's quantum physics. The great physicist Richard Feynman said, if you don't think quantum physics is weird, he said, you don't really understand quantum physics. And it is, this is quantum physics, which is weird, but it's amazing. And like I said, we've certified over 10,000 people now that are doing this exact work all over the world, getting phenomenal results. So let's ask now, did we release that inherited trapped emotion of heartache from you? Yeah. And did it also release from your father and from his father? Yeah. And from all those other generations? And so the grandmother this began with, did it release from her as well? Yeah. It also released from your 2 girls. Yep. So, so yeah, it's interesting because the ancestors, what I believe is that when we die, those, our spirit lives on. And those spirits of those ancestors, they live on, but that emotional baggage sometimes I think seems to stay with them. And so there's a lot that we don't know about this, but it's really fascinating. Yeah,
Well,
and
that's
that's
amazing. Amazing
yeah,
process to go 11 generations back and diagnose it that quickly and be able to release. So I'm sure
yeah,
I'll report in about my how my hip pain evolves over time or
yeah.
releases. So
And
thank you.
don't be surprised if it's just gone. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's typically how this works.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I wanted to circle back. That really gives a sense of like how powerful the method is in terms of diagnosing and releasing. And something you mentioned earlier, I want to spend a little more time on is this notion of a heart wall, and that we're the sort of like, in a way, it sounds like a lot of other motions get lodged in us almost accidentally, but heart wall sounds a little more intentional, like a self-protective emotional block that we put in there. So maybe share a little bit more about that and why it's important we look at that, what we've done in that arena as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the heart wall is the most important part of the emotion code. And to understand this, if you think back in the 1960s, when doctors started first doing heart transplants, it didn't take long before people would come back sometimes after having a transplant, and they would report to their doctor that their taste in music or food or sports had totally changed. Sometimes their handwriting would totally change. Sometimes they'd report that they had memories of being in places that they never in their life had ever visited. And in every case, when these people were connected with the family of the heart donor, they'd find out, oh my gosh, that's our son's handwriting that you have. That's so crazy. Or yes, our daughter was a concert violinist. And so that must be why you love classical music now. And that piece that you say that you can't get out of your head, that was her favorite piece. I mean, crazy things, right? There are whole books written about this. It's called cellular memory. Well, the ancient peoples believed the heart was a seat of the soul, the source of love and creativity and romance and the core of our being, right? And in the West, we've never really given any credence to those old ideas, just thinking that it was all just poetic license. They didn't have the kind of equipment that we have now. So we know the heart is just a pump. But guess what? In the last 20 years or so, we've been doing research with more advanced equipment. And we're finding out that the heart is by far the most powerful organ in the body, puts out this huge energy field that's 12 feet in diameter. And when one person's feeling love or affection for another person, their heart rates will synchronize and so on. And it's really amazing. Well, anyway, the heart, I believe, is everything the ancients believed it to be. And so think about this. If you're feeling really hurt by somebody, or you're feeling really grieved about something, you feel that in your body and you feel it here. You don't feel it here, you don't feel it in your knee, you feel it right here. And that's because the heart really truly is the core of your being. Now think about this. Many of us have had the experience where maybe we're watching someone perform at the top of their ability and it's so moving. And what do? We often will put our hands over our heart because we're feeling it here. Well, the heart really is the core of your being. But if you've ever felt like your heart was going to break, you felt like at that point, maybe there was like an elephant sitting on your chest, or like you couldn't breathe, or like you were choking, your heart, when you're feeling that, is under assault. And the subconscious mind will put up a wall around the heart to protect your heart from being totally broken. And that wall is what we call the heart wall. And it's made of layers of emotional baggage. So it's an invisible wall. You can't see it, but 93% of people walking around have this wall that they have put up. Now, one of the reasons why the world has so much trouble is because, and why things are so messed up in the world is because we don't feel with this brain. We feel with this brain, the brain that's in the heart. But because so many people have put up a wall around their heart, we're operating from this brain. The world that's coming is a world where we're operating from this brain, the heart brain, but we've got to remove more of these walls that people have. It's just the most amazing thing. And in the course, I'll explain how this came about and what it really what kind of an effect it can really have on you. But when this wall is taken down, and remember that it's just emotional baggage that is clustered around the heart, like the layers of an onion. But you can find, with the emotion code, we'll teach you how to find and remove these layers one by one until that heart is not encumbered anymore, until your heart is not in a bunker anymore. Your heart now is open. And I can't tell you We have 10,000 plus testimonials from people all over the world about this kind of thing, where that wall was taken down and suddenly they found their soulmate, or that wall was taken down, their heart suddenly is open, and they start having these amazing creative ideas that just start flowing. Because see, the best creative ideas you'll ever have aren't going to come from this brain, they're going to come from this brain. But chances are pretty good that you've got a wall that you've put up, and it's not anything that people are even aware of, but it's a very, very real thing. And it's one of the things that really is a big underlying cause of depression and anxiety. Autistic children, in my experience, always have a wall. And what's really fascinating, Stephen, is that those autistic kids, sometimes they will not make eye contact. And the first thing that we see happen when that wall is taken down, the first thing that they do in many, many cases that I've seen is they make eye contact. It's crazy. But it's the most powerful part of the emotion code. And of course, we're going to cover this in detail.
Wow, what amazing repercussions and implications for this work, and how it can ripple out in society and benefit so many people. So really amazing stuff, Bradley, and it's just, you explained it so powerfully as well. So I want to spend time now talking more explicitly about the course that we've mentioned, so that people really have the chance to take this methodology into their own lives and experience the personal benefits and potentially work with other people as well. So the program that we're going to have with Bradley teaching is called Activate Health, Abundance, and Love with the Emotion Code. You can find it at emotioncodecourse.com, emotioncodecourse.com. It's a 7-week program. There's no prerequisites. It's going to lay systematically the foundations of this method so you can use it. So it can be part of your transformational toolkit, so you can clear old emotions and inherited patterns and work with the heart wall, and really understand how to self-diagnose yourself with things like muscle testing. So it's a really comprehensive and very practical course. In fact, one of the people who took a previous version has said this is one of the best, most useful courses of the many I've taken from the Shift Network. It's so really a lot of practical. This isn't just about inspiration, it's about practical tools to help liberate you from that which is no longer serving you. So Bradley, I'd love for you to share a little bit on the high level about where you're going to be taking people in this program, and then I'll read out the module titles. You give us a preview of what's coming in each.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, module 1 is going to be Introduction to the Emotion Code. We're going to go into how it came about and what it is, how it works. And then in module 2, we're going to talk about muscle testing, all about muscle testing, how to get answers from the subconscious mind. So we'll go over a number of different methods. So you should be able to find a method in that module that actually is going to work for you. And once you learn how to do one, you'll be able to do all of them. In module 3, we're going to actually show you how we release common trapped emotions as well as inherited trapped emotions. Common trapped emotions are the ones that you picked up from birth until now. Okay. And by the way, I'll be working live with volunteers in each one of these modules to help you see how this is done, how it works. And you may even get called on, you never know. Module 4, we're going to talk about the heart wall, the miraculous experience that I had really, where I learned about this, and a very unique experience in my life, and more about what it does, how to find if a person has a heart wall, how to get rid of it, how animals occasionally get heart walls, and how to get rid of those too. We're going to talk about in module 5, surrogate and proxy testing. Now, surrogate testing is where you test someone else, and that person is there with you. Proxy testing, on the other hand, is what we just did with you, Stephen, where I was working with you at a distance, and we're going to show you how both of those work. So you'll actually be able to help family members and loved ones that are there or that are on the other side of the planet. So that's kind of fun. Very powerful stuff, life-changing. Module 6, we're going to talk about life without trapped emotions and some of the keys to avoiding emotional baggage in the future. And then module 7 is going to be using the emotion code within the body code system. So the body code is really a larger body of work that contains all of the other kinds of imbalances that we end up picking up as human beings. We'll show you how the emotion code works there within that system. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. One of my favorite things to do is to just share this with people and show people how this works and then help them to be able to do it themselves. And that's what I'm going to be doing, is sharing this with you and teaching you how to do this yourself. So you can use everybody that you know, your family members, friends, loved ones, and so on.
Yeah, I imagine it's so satisfying just feeling how many ripples are going to go out in the world from these teachings. So I'll share a little bit more about it. Again, you can see the full program laid out in detail at emotioncodecourse.com. So you not only get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Bradley, which is going to give you a chance to also ask your questions and do some of the exercises together. You also get recordings that you can stream for video and audio, really giving you access to these teachings ongoing. There's a full word-for-word transcript, so weekly exercises for home, plus a Facebook learning community. And on the page that you'll see, there is also a number of extra bonuses that are going to complement the learning you get in the core modules and help to expand in some other directions. So you'll also get on the page, you see energy compatibility in relationships. So extending these same principles and how our dynamics with others. That's from Bradley himself. There's a video teaching from Dr. Suzanne Hufnagel on self-reliance and healing. You want to share a little bit about that extra bonus?
Yeah, Dr. Suzanne Hufnagel is a German instructor. And she came to an event that we did in Dublin, Ireland. I think it was in 2009. She was flying back to Germany, and she just had this very strong impression that she needed to translate the emotion code into German. So she called me and asked me if that was okay, and I said yes. And so now she's our instructor and has been teaching seminars over there for many years. And so she's also a wonderful friend. And this talk that she gave was at an event that we put on, and she flew over from Germany for this event, and it's just a really, really wonderful talk about self-reliance and how to be self-reliant in your own life in every area. So I won't take any more thunder from her talk, but it's something that you absolutely need to see. It's fantastic.
Fascinating. Then we also have a video teaching as a bonus on healing your animal friends. You mentioned that in the course of today, and it really is intriguing that this can also work with animals as well. And that's with Lana Nelson. And in addition, we have a special bonus that's available when you sign up by midnight tonight. This gives us a chance to really plan for the course, and also gives you a chance to make a decision right now while you have the most information. You can feel the potential benefits in your life from being able to do this clearing work really effectively. And this is a video from Bradley called Muscle Testing Tips. So I want to share a little bit about that special bonus that people get when they sign up today.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a video from a live event that we did. It's one where I go through various different tips. See, muscle testing sometimes gets a bad rap because people don't know really how to do it correctly and how to get answers and the things you need to watch for. And there are definitely some secrets that I've learned after teaching this for so many years and muscle testing myself for so many years. And I'm going to be sharing those with you in this bonus.
Well, that's a great extra reason to sign up today. So such a fountain of great information and practices, and so many benefits in people's lives. You can really see that not only from the 10,000 testimonials you have. We have testimonials from people who've gone through a previous version of this program in the Shift Network. Really, so many testimonials about changed lives. So it's going to be such a powerful program, and you can find all the details at emotioncodecourse.com. We've kept this very accessible in terms of pricing. It's just 3 payments of $109, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $297. The course is going to start January 4th, run Wednesdays at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make those live times, you can still get the full value with recordings, transcripts, and community as well. And as I mentioned, it's great to read the testimonials, and people saying this course is a gift, life-changing course, is such a solid and inspired work. I think it represents the future of body and emotional healing. So many people whose lives have benefited, and there's the opportunity for you as well. So if you choose to move forward, you're gonna get those full 7 modules plus all the bonuses, and you're gonna get that special bonus on the muscle testing tips when you sign up by midnight tonight. And you're really going to add this to your transformational toolkit for helping you and friends and family and clients for years to come. So you are in for a treat, and you're in great hands with the founder and primary guide for this work. So again, all the details are at emotioncodecourse.com. So Bradley, we just have a couple minutes left. Anything else that has been shared that you want to share with folks who are considering diving deeper into this method?
Well, I really just hope that that you'll open your heart to the possibility that maybe there's something here for you. This simple method of the emotion code is changing people's lives all over the world. It's so funny because it really is so simple, it's so fast, it's so easy. It's funny because I've taught seminars all over the world, and about every third seminar that I teach, someone will come up to me and they'll say, "This just seems too easy." And my response to them is usually, "Well, I can make it more difficult for you if you'd like." It's easy. Healing does not have to be hard. We're in a time now where we really need advanced tools. We need to be able to heal ourselves and heal our loved ones. And it has to be fast. It has to be easy. It has to be efficient. And that's what this work is. There is no faster, more efficient, or easier method of energy healing on the whole planet than this. So if you've thought about energy healing, like maybe it's something you should look at. If you've thought about maybe you'd like to expand what you already are doing, maybe you're already doing Reiki or some other kind of healing method, maybe you don't have any knowledge at all, you've never thought about this before. I'm telling you, this course is going to open your mind. And a mind, the old saying is, a mind that is open to a new dimension never assumes its original shape again. This is going to change your mind and will very likely change your life, and very likely the lives of those that you love as well. That's how powerful this is. So I really do hope you'll join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, on every module, we're going to be taking live volunteers. So you may end up being one of those volunteers. You never know. So come and learn. And I look forward to January, and we'll see you on the first one.
Awesome. Well, Bradley, you're super inspiring, and I love just the practicality of this method. And again, the program that you can choose to go forward with is called Activate Health, Abundance, and Love with the Emotion Code. You can get all the details at emotioncodecourse.com, and you're going to be in for a treat. And so thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you, Bradley, for some great wisdom and guidance, and super inspiring hour. So many blessings all.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Stephen. Let me know how your hip does, okay?
Yeah, will do.
All right.